Welcome to USA Benefits Today, your trusted source for meaningful global news and updates that directly impact your life. Today, we're covering a major international development that is creating shockwaves across the Americas and raising serious questions about aviation safety, U.S. national security, and regional politics. Former U.S. President Donald Trump has issued a powerful public directive declaring Venezuelan airspace effectively closed, warning airlines, pilots, and criminal networks to avoid the region entirely. This new escalation has drawn intense reactions from Venezuela, triggered concerns among international aviation experts, and started a new debate about the growing tensions between the United States and South America. In today's detailed breakdown, we will explore what exactly Trump said, why he said it, the historical context behind this decision, how Venezuela is responding, what the aviation authorities are saying, and, most importantly, which countries around the world are directly or indirectly affected by this situation. Stay with me until the end, because this story connects multiple nations, security networks, and international power structures in ways that many people do not realize. Let's begin with the statement itself. In a post on Truth Social, Trump wrote, "Please consider the airspace above and surrounding Venezuela to be closed in its entirety." This short sentence instantly went viral, raising alarms among airlines and political analysts. The United States does not have the legal authority to shut down another country's airspace. That power belongs exclusively to the country itself under international aviation law. But what Trump's message does do is send a strong political and strategic signal. The U.S. considers Venezuelan skies unsafe due to escalating criminal activity, potential military threats, and growing instability in the region. This directive did not come out of nowhere. For years, the United States has accused the Venezuelan government, led by President Nicolas Maduro, of corruption, involvement in drug trafficking, and allowing criminal organizations to use Venezuelan territory as a major route for narcotics moving toward North America. U.S. intelligence agencies have repeatedly identified Venezuela as a strategic corridor for illegal drug movements, especially cocaine. Trump's administration has long argued that shutting down those routes is necessary to protect American communities, reduce drug-related violence, and disrupt organized crime. But Trump's directive goes far beyond aviation safety. It appears to be part of a broader strategy to increase pressure on the Maduro government. In just the past few weeks, Trump has openly acknowledged approving CIA operations inside Venezuela, something extremely rare for any president to reveal publicly. He also designated Maduro and top Venezuelan officials as members of a foreign terrorist organization, a move that significantly increases the United States' legal ability to carry out direct actions, impose sanctions, or even engage in military operations if deemed necessary for national security. So what triggered this most recent escalation? One key factor is the evolving pattern of drug trafficking. Trump stated recently that illegal drug shipments coming by sea have decreased due to increased U.S. patrols. As a result, traffickers are shifting to land-based routes. Venezuela's geography makes it an ideal launch point, connecting to Colombia, Brazil, and Central America. The concern is that criminal groups could use Venezuela's porous borders and weakened institutions to expand land-based smuggling operations. During a Thanksgiving call with U.S. military members, Trump suggested that the United States may begin targeting land-based trafficking routes very soon, calling land operations easier compared to sea routes. This raised speculation that the U.S. might be preparing for more aggressive anti-trafficking missions near the Venezuelan border, missions that could involve drones, intelligence surveillance, special operations forces, or increased collaboration with neighboring countries. Venezuela reacted immediately and harshly. The country's foreign minister called Trump's directive a colonialist threat, claiming it represents an illegal and unjustified attack on Venezuelan sovereignty. From their perspective, the United States is not trying to protect airspace, but is instead interfering in Venezuelan politics and attempting to force regime change. Venezuela argues that closing airspace is a sovereign right and that Trump's statement is a violation of international norms. To understand the bigger picture, let's break down which countries are affected directly or indirectly by Trump's new position. 1. The United States. The U.S. is heavily impacted because this directive ties directly into national security, border control, drug trafficking prevention, and immigration patterns. Flight routes may need adjustments, and intelligence operations will likely increase. 2. Venezuela. The primary country involved. This directive heightens tensions, affects its airspace reputation, impacts travel routes, and signals that the U.S. is prepared to take a more aggressive stance. 3. Colombia. Colombia shares a long, difficult border with Venezuela and is one of the world's largest producers of cocaine, much of which passes through Venezuela. Colombia will feel increased U.S. pressure and potentially see greater operational collaboration with American forces. 4. Brazil. Brazil shares a major southern border with Venezuela. Increased U.S. monitoring may affect Brazil's Amazon border region, which is already known for illegal trafficking activity. 5. Caribbean nations. Countries like Trinidad and Tobago, Aruba, Curaçao, and the Dominican Republic can be affected by disruptions in air routes, drug trafficking movements, and security operations in surrounding waters. 6. Mexico. Although geographically distant from Venezuela, Mexico is deeply tied to drug trafficking networks. If routes from Venezuela shift, many may pass through the Gulf of Mexico or Central America, increasing pressure on Mexican authorities. 7. Central American countries. Nations like Honduras, Guatemala, Panama, and Costa Rica act as major transit points. Any shakeup in Venezuelan trafficking routes will impact their borders, local criminal organizations, and regional security. 8. International airlines. Any airline that flies long distances between North America, South America, and Europe could be affected. Even non-U.S. airlines may reroute flights to avoid potential risk. Now, let's talk about aviation. The FAA recently warned airlines about a potentially hazardous situation over Venezuela, urging extreme caution. This means the U.S. government already has intelligence suggesting that the skies above Venezuela may be unsafe, either due to military activity on the ground, radar instability, or potential threats from unidentified armed groups. Airlines take FAA warnings seriously because ignoring them could lead to legal consequences. Today, many global carriers are already re-evaluating flight paths over Venezuela and may reroute air traffic to avoid risk. Let's now shift to the geopolitical angle. Venezuela has been in severe crisis for years. Hyperinflation, shortages of food and medicine, political protests, poverty, and economic collapse. More than 7 million Venezuelans have fled the country, one of the largest mass migrations in modern history. This has created massive pressure on neighboring countries, including Colombia, Brazil, Peru, and Ecuador. The U.S. sees this instability as a security concern. Illegal migration networks, human trafficking groups, and smugglers exploit the vulnerable situation. By increasing pressure on the Maduro government, Trump might be trying to weaken criminal organizations, reduce illegal border crossings, and possibly push for political change inside Venezuela. But let's be clear. This is a high-risk move. Escalating tensions could lead to diplomatic breakdown, increased military presence, and a regional standoff. Now let's examine how this affects everyday people in the United States. Aviation safety. Travelers to South America may see flight routes shift, but this increases safety and avoids entering potentially unstable airspace. Airlines prioritize safety first. Drug trafficking and community safety. If the U.S. succeeds in disrupting Venezuelan trafficking routes, it could lead to fewer drugs entering American cities, reducing violence, overdoses, and crime. Border security. Changes in migrant routes affect U.S. immigration systems, refugee policies, and border enforcement strategies. Economy and fuel prices. Political tensions in Latin America often affect oil markets. Venezuela has the world's largest oil reserves. Any disruption can influence global oil prices. Military operations. Americans may see increased U.S. military activity, intelligence updates, and political debates around intervention. Looking ahead, this situation has the potential to shape the future of U.S.-Latin America relations for years. If tensions continue rising, we may see new sanctions, increased surveillance, and stronger collaboration with neighboring countries like Colombia and Brazil. At the same time, Venezuela's relationships with nations like Russia, China, and Iran could deepen, creating a larger geopolitical conflict between global powers. That would pull in countries far outside the Americas, including European nations that rely on South American air routes. This story is far from over. The decision to declare an entire nation's airspace closed is not normal, not simple, and not something the world will ignore. It reflects a deeper warning that the United States is preparing for a more assertive approach toward Venezuela and regional crime networks. As new developments break, we'll continue bringing you the clearest, most helpful, and most detailed updates. Thank you for staying with me through this important global discussion. This concludes today's report from USA Benefits Today. If you found this video informative and valuable, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Your support helps us continue bringing meaningful daily updates that matter to you. I'll see you in the next video.